Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Local Chat, episode 241. I'm your host, Will Crosby. Joining me this week, Horse.
Hello,
and
it's
Ian
me.
Gibson. You're not
sorry.
Horse.
I always forget you put somebody in the third slot until I look at it. It's a great.
Got Horse. I just go into my downloads folder and grab something that I've used recently. This I used as a reference for this painting I'm doing, which is one of the cats from 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles fighting a tiny horse.
It looks good. I just I don't know that the lines really make sense for that though.
Yeah. I learned thankfully not the hard way, although I haven't checked on any of my paintings in a while, but graphite bleeds through, so I use a red pencil now.
Oh.
Like over
Gotcha.
time bleeds through. It's like a weird.
But isn't a
weird
red
thing.
pencil graphite? I guess it's just the
I don't think
color
it's-
as well.
I don't think it's graphite. I think it's
Oh, it's blood. It's like blood pudding.
no, it's like colored pencil. I don't think those are graphite. It's blood pudding. Yes, you're right. It's blood pudding.
He's like a wax crayon or something.
Yeah, I wax crayons all night. Folks, speaking of all night, I did it. I purchased an Apple TV, Ian Gibson, Costco.
Hey, you got. Yeah, well, you said you were looking at. Weren't you going to get used ones? Or
So
something?
I was looking at used ones, and then most of the used ones were like around 100, 120 still. And then Costco's
Yeah.
like, what if you just bought it for $10 off? And I think it came to 130. But then the shipping just boosted
that
it back
makes
to the
sense.
$10 anyway. So I'm like, oh, what the fuck? So I ordered that. It's fantastic. I love using it. The remote works with my TV and sound bar. You can turn off
good.
the touch parts of the remote, which is a thing I hate about my LG remote. You can't turn that off.
You can turn it off. Okay, because that's the problem with the Apple TV. It's like 90% is that the fucking touch controls on the remote are
So
dog
the old
shit.
remotes are really bad because they have that like square at the top that's touch. But the newer ones,
Yeah.
it's just the inside of the circle that's touch that you click on. But yeah, you can turn it off. It's
still
so
bad,
good.
yeah.
I was so happy when that option popped up.
But I do think I'm curious your take on this. I do think the Apple TV UI, and again, I've only used it a handful of times, but the most recent time was like a year ago. I think they have fallen into the trap of their UI is so minimal that it becomes frustrating.
Mhm.
You know, like there's a balance. It can't be too busy, can't be too minimal, and I think they are unfortunately too minimal. Where it's like, where do I go to this? And you end up having to kind of dig through it. Is it still kind of
Yeah.
like that?
It's a little bit like I just went through all the settings and looked at things. And then there's like per app settings, but everything runs great. I'm still just using the base Plex app for my Plex stuff, but
Yeah.
it has all the apps. It has a dropout app, which is great because I no longer have to use that on my Xbox.
Yes.
It has a bunch of great apps. And like I said, I turn the TV on, it goes right to it. The only issue is using other things on the HDMI switcher. I can't turn the Apple TV off because it'll turn the TV off. So you just have to use the little switcher remote to switch to like the PS5 and sometimes when it turns on,
that's fine.
it'll handshake again and that sort of stuff. But it's not a major issue. I wish my TV had just one more. It's because my soundbar has to do the ARC one, so I only have one HDMI port.
It has to do ARC in order to get your
Dolby.
higher standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the
Although
same
I
with
haven't
mine.
checked if I can. I could check with that now that the Apple TV's in the situation. Could look into that. But yeah, it's been great. I went to my parents over this past weekend, and a while ago, my uncle had given me a Apple TV, just a regular Apple TV, and that one doesn't have apps on or anything. And so I was going through some of the drawers in my old room, and it turns out he had given my parents an Apple TV 4K from 2017.
And they just had one.
So they were like, "Oh yeah, you can take that. We're not going to use it." So I now have a second Apple TV 4K.
Put it on the upstairs TV.
Yeah, that I'm gonna. If I had an upstairs TV, I would do that, but I'm gonna figure out what to do with this. And
I thought you did have an upstairs TV.
no, we just have the living room TV. But yeah, I'm gonna figure out what to do with that. It's nice because it has apps and can run Plex and everything. So theoretically, I could. I was almost thinking the next time I do Pixel 8, I could just run it through that, like run the file through that, plug it in, and just not have to, wire up everything to the CRT. It can be wireless. and then send everything
Oh
down,
yeah.
which would be cool.
Yeah. I've been thinking about, I may have to get a new streaming device because my TV, my TCL TV has Roku OS. I love Roku OS. It's fantastic. But it is 6 years old now. And the problem is I can tell that some of the DRAM in the TV has gone bad, which is something that happens over time. Like at my old job, I worked with hardware a lot because most of my job was like being a field engineer and testing the software on the hardware. And I remember one time we had an issue pop up where there was a lot of memory failures. And basically one of the guys explained it to me. He's like, hey, if the software needs like 100% of memory to run, they don't install 100% of memory. They install like 150 or 160% of memory because there's an expectation that some of them will slowly die over time. And so it's really a gamble where you're like, that's why some of your old devices stop working, is basically like they need to install a failure threshold of memory over the minimum that's needed. And I think, unfortunately, with my TV, it's starting to slow down and have problems. And I think it's literally because enough of the memory has died that it's just starting to slow down because the apps haven't changed, even just going through it. So it's not a problem where I need to do it, but I do think if I'm going to keep that TV, which I do want to keep the TV's fantastic. At some point, I'm going to have to throw a device on there and start using that instead of the built-in OS, which is a shame, but things happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't mind the LG stuff. It was a little bit slow in some cases, but it's nice to have, like, that's the one thing I love about Apple most of the time with their newer, like, up-to-date stuff, is just it feels so good. It's very fast and responsive, and it's just like.
Plus, your old one, was it LG OS or was it Google OS or Google Android TV OS?
It's Web OS, which I think is LG.
Okay, yeah, because the thing I sometimes come across with Roku, not as much anymore, is there are some places like Dropout, for example, who are like, oh, we're not going to make an app for that platform, or like F1 TV has a Roku app, but it was always behind and it would have like catastrophic issues and it would take them months to fix it because it's not important for them to fix it. And so that's one of the benefits of going to like an Apple TV or an Android TV, is like it's a main platform. So therefore it's going to get apps quicker and they're going to be kept up to date much more frequently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's my Apple TV talk. I'm happy. We've been watching lots of TV shows. Actually, I was going to talk about one of them, but I'm going to write about it in the newsletter. So make sure you read the newsletter.
Hell yeah.
When it comes out. I also got a bunch of cameras from my grandmother. There was one camera in there, the Canon AF35M, which I threw some batteries in, and it just started up. I was like, hell yeah. There was some expired film in there, which, if you know anything about film, they have expiration dates. It doesn't mean it will go bad. It's just, they're just Best Buy dates. So these are from like the 90s and 2000s, probably 2000s. So I threw one of those in the camera and took a bunch of pictures with it. The problem, so the one for my grandma is in great condition, except the little plastic latch to connect the door was broken. And then my parents had the exact same camera that I remember growing up with because it was broken and I used to play with it a lot. And that door, perfectly fine. So I spent like 20 minutes and I was watching breakdown videos and they were like pulling the plastic out and pulling the doors off and everything. I'm like, damn it. And then I just Googled like AF35M replacing door, and it got this one little video of the guy tapping the hinge rod out. So I tapped the whole hinge rod out on both of them and just swapped the two doors. And it clicked right back together. In case I couldn't do that, there were plenty of STLs online of people making door closers that just screw into the bottom and you can close the door. But I was really excited to...
Even just like tiny neodymium magnets are so good nowadays that you could almost just like...
There's that. There were people like...
Magnet.
Just rubber band it. There was like a whole thing that screws into the, 1/4 inch on the bottom, and then the printed thing sits there. So I used that. We went to a wedding and we're hanging out with like walking around and stuff. So I was just taking pictures of that. I don't know how they're going to come out. Expired film's always a toss up. So we'll see. It's usually just like light leak stuff. But I don't actually know. I did also start getting advertised a monthly expired film subscription, and I was just like, you fuckers will monetize anything. Like, what the fuck? Like,
tell me, like, it's not a bad idea if it was super cheap. So the question now is, like, what do you get and what's the cost?
I don't think it was super cheap. I could look it up. It seems stupid. Let me see. Monthly expired film. Yeah, expired film club.
Because there's a pretentious way to do it, which is they're like, you got to get that artsy cool look and we're going to charge you for it. And there's another way where it's like, I could throw this out or you could give me $2 a month for it, you know?
So it looks
and that's the better way to do it.
3 rolls of film monthly, and it's $12 a month.
That doesn't sound that good of a deal.
Yeah, I pay $36 for brand new rolls of film for 3 brand new rolls of film. Why?
So it is a little cheaper, but I bet they're
I bet that
doesn't.
Yeah,
I bet that $12 doesn't include shipping though. So
yeah, like I'm not automatically thinking these people are just in it for the money, because they, like, I guess you're getting rare types of film, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to spend money on film I think might fail, you know?
Yeah. And how do you think they're aging it? Like in caskets or just like on a shelf? A freezer?
I think they might have time machine technology.
This is an SNL sketch. This is an SNL sketch. This is just a company that sells expired. They sell aged film.
This is like they're like, these are the diamonds, and modern film is the cubic zirconium.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also sell cameras, expensive cameras.
You know what you should do? When I saw the picture of all the camera shit that you got, and I was like, you have so many cameras now. And you know what immediately popped into my head was, you should build a 3x3 grid of the cameras and take 9 pictures at a time and then stitch them together.
Like those Pokemon Go
really
things.
Yeah.
Man, they
should be awesome.
They have my Olympus XA2 with the flash attachment for $415. Excuse me, I bought one for $80 off eBay a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Also, the Olympus XA2, my favorite camera probably that I own. It's the little point and flash. It's great. It's excellent for everything. And when I was going on the cruise, I bought a second one because the second one came with the flash unit. And the flash unit itself is rather expensive, but this like bulk deal was super cheap. So I bought it. Then at my parents' house this weekend, I found buried the original flash unit that they owned. So now I have both of them with flash
Two
units.
of them. You can double the flash.
Double the fall.
Yeah. I love old hobbies, but I absolutely hate it when the wrong people get their hands on it and are like, well, now we can charge this much because it's this, you know, it's this hobby and it's this old and now it's an antique and it's a niche, and it's like, fuck you. You know what? I'm buying a shitty old camera. Like let me buy it at the shitty old camera price.
Yeah, it's annoying. Like, yeah. But yeah, I'm happy with all these. I gotta Google them all and see what they're like. There was one Minolta I got that was my mom's, and that one's like $12 on eBay. And people are like, even if you're getting into film photography, don't buy this camera. It's just not great.
Yeah. But what that means is that it's like very well talked about. It's rare. Nobody's using this camera. $200.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very unique.
And then there were a couple other like point and shoots and stuff like that. And like I said, that the AF35M, it's all auto, so like you take the picture and it rolls it to the next one, and then you like have to rewind it manually. But we were at a restaurant and it finished the roll, and I didn't know how loud the rewind was going to be, so I didn't want to do it. But the little light telling me I had finished the roll stayed on, and I started smelling hot plastic, and I was like, oh shit. So I took the batteries out and it was cooling down. And I was like, I should leave that in there, because I guess
it's probably
in every situation, you would just undo it. And I wanted to, since I have that other one that might turn on, I haven't actually tried it. I should see if I can get in there and swap it to like a little LED and have that in there instead.
Well, maybe you may have to add a little bit of electronics, like a buck converter to step down or something.
But it's nice. I have that second one for repair parts if I need it. There's like one or two. The only thing wrong with it is like the glass is shattered on the front or cracked off, and it now has that bum door. But it should be nice.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like I said, cameras are my stealth hobby, where like I don't think about it at all. but
Can't stop fucking talking about it.
I
though.
know, it's weird. Like I said, it's just so natural, man. That's the camera talk, which means it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the games we've been playing. Boom. I'll go first because then we can get to yours and then we can do that other stuff. Rogue Squadron. Fuck Rogue Squadron. Moving on.
Hey, Rogue Squadron 2. Watch it. You keep making this fucking mistake. Keep Rogue Squadron 1 out of your fucking mouth, okay?
It's fine. It's the lag, folks. It's the lag.
No.
It did crash.
I do think it's Rogue Squadron. All those games have a little bit of a control issue to them where the controls are a little old and finicky. But it does feel like 2 and 3 decided to make the game slightly more complicated in terms of like what you can do and what the missions require of you. Mm-hmm. But they didn't improve the controls. So that's why Rogue Squadron 1's in the sweet spot where the controls are okay, but the missions also aren't too demanding, whereas it feels like 2 is more demanding.
I think I'm just going to play all of them, but I think I'll finish 2 off stream. I'll find something else to play probably next week. Yeah, Rogue Squadron 2. ActRaiser's still going well. That's the one I play on the couch, and on my Thor. That's going pretty well. I'm still on Bloodpool, I think is the town I'm building right now. And I'm in a castle level. I have to vanquish the boss at the castle. And that game works. I've explained it before, but you like go down to fight a mission, and then you're building the city and getting rid of the enemy layers. And then they're like, here are offerings to you. And in my first civilization, their offering was how to build bridges. So I went back to them. I said, give me your offering of bridges. And I brought it over to the second village. And I said, here's bridges. And then they're like, we have wheat. And so when I connected the roads to my old city, they're like, oh, we can teach the other town how to grow wheat. So you're just like, it's not, you're not really getting resources, but your population growth is how you as a god level up and get more health.
And every time I hear about this game, it sounds more and more in depth and mechanical in a good way than I would expect of a fucking. This is 16-bit, right? This is like Genesis.
Yeah, it's Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. It feels really. It's the only problem with it is it's just like it's menus on a controller. And like if this was a PC game, it'd be a little bit better. It's not too much. There's just a little bit of waiting and stuff because it's like I'm an old game. We need to wait for something. But yeah, you're like, there's bushes. I'm using lightning to burn down all the bushes. There's a marsh. I'm using the sun to dry out the marsh, and all that sort of stuff. And there was this like neat little storyline, like, oh, our son has run away. We bake this bread, and then you like grab the bread and then go find the little guy moving around on the map and drop the bread on him. And he eats the bread and thinks of home and then runs home, and all this stuff. So it's fun. Cool. This is one of those games, I forget where I was saying this, but it's like, you need like an hour to get into it. And that's usually my policy with a lot of older games. It's like, give it the hour.
When you say an hour, is that the initial hour, or is that every time you sit down to play, it takes an hour to ramp up?
No, that's the initial hour. I think once you overcome the initial hour and you understand how everything does, now it's a game I just flip it open, play for however long I can, and then close it. But you need that hour to be like, okay, now this is a check-in game. And it's fun. I'll forget controls occasionally, but and those little side-scrolling levels are good too. Other than that stupid boss fight with the fucking, not a griffin, Sphinx.
There's fucking in a boss fight?
There's a hole in the bottom of the boss room.
What?
In the bottom of the boss room, a hole you can fall through, and I fell through that hole. I must have fought him 50 times, and I don't think I ever died to the boss. I think I just kept falling.
Yeah, just the hole.
It was died to the hole. Stupid. Died to the hole. Lived great, died to the hole. We should get a shirt. This is died to the hole.
Live young, die to the hole.
Die to the hole. Yeah, it was frustrating to say the least. Oh, hi, Halucha.
Hi.
Yeah, it was annoying. Next up was Far Far West. We played this on. I played this on UPF last week. It's fun. It's good. It's good. It's there.
How's the loop? Because my concern was it felt good, but I was like, is there enough here for me to actually keep coming back to it and doing more and more missions?
Yeah, we were kind of mainlining the mission objectives, but it seems like a marriage of Deep Rock Galactic and Helldivers 2, where they were like, okay, this is a mission structure similarly to Deep Rock Galactic. I guess Deep Rock Galactic is Helldivers 2 then to this more so, because now there's just an open map that you can go around and do things on. So like you may come over here and you have to get rid of some summoning stuff, or you come over here and then of course there's your main objectives and your like exit train and all that sort of stuff. But it felt really good. I think we were just probably playing on the normal difficulty. Wasn't too hard, killing the bosses, having a fun time, riding around. It didn't feel like there was anything like it just was going and we were beating the mission and getting through it. And that's how I like to play those types of games. I'm not like some crazy play it on super hard mode or something. And then back in the town, you can upgrade your you have abilities, so you have like a Q and E, and I think there's 4 elementals for that. It doesn't quite pair, but there's like a lightning, a fire, there's cactus mines that you can drop down and stuff like that. And then there's multiple levels of each one of those abilities. Then you have like these soul cards that are like your special ability. You can like gamble on those, and then cosmetics and stuff like that. So it's a pretty fun game. I don't remember how much it is, but it is it's a pretty good time. I'm glad I played it, and I think I'll be sticking with it. If I find some people to play with it more regularly, that'd be fun, but I might wait until it's out of early access before I'm like, hey, people should buy this and we should play it.
Oh, it's in early access. Gotcha, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I was going to say, it sounds like a good Tuesday game, play it for a couple weeks in a row, but maybe we should wait for out of early access.
I mean, there's definitely enough there, but yeah, I don't know how many weeks in a row, but it could. And then the final game I've been playing, this is over the past like 2 weeks. I have not been playing a lot of video games, surprisingly. Is my wife threw out my card collection, so I bought a dump to find them all.
So 2/3 of the way through this, I thought you were describing something that happened to you, but this is actually, you know what? I have heard of this game. This is the one where you have to go through the landfill to find your cards, right?
Yeah. It's not accelerating in the way I want it to. I haven't finished the first trash pile, but so far, like half the upgrades, I'm like, why would I buy this? So I'm a little annoyed. My favorite part of the game, which is a side thing, is there's a radio that you can turn on, and they have at least like 15 songs in different styles about a wife throwing their card collection away.
That's good.
And it's very good and funny. I don't know if they're done by AI. If they are, they're terrible, and I hate them. But yeah, it's
just real quick.
Yeah,
I think this is an opportunity for us to be creative. This is in the same genre as Berry 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 and what's the one? You Must Dig a Hole, where it's like you have a job. It's a minimal job, but you have to get. Well, I should say it's a focused job, but there's a lot to do, and as you do it, you're trading your progress for currency to upgrade the tools in which to do it. We need a name for that genre, because it's not like a job sim,
I mean, they're sort of incremental.
It's like incremental tasker, where it's like an incremental jobber. Incremental jobber's not bad. Like you have a job to do, and we're gonna incrementally. Let's go with that incremental jobber.
I think so. My biggest issue with it is I'm an hour in, and I feel like I should have things that are more automation. And I don't know if the game has automation, but it should if it doesn't. I am getting like my trash bags getting bigger. So you're collecting trash and then you throw it in the trash thing. You find treasures. You can throw those into a special area and then sell them online. And then you're finding cards and cleaning off the cards. That's the loop I'm in right now, and I get stronger, so I can put more trash in the trash bags. I have more energy, so I can do trash bags longer. You drink beer to get more energy back, and the loop there is pretty good. Like you never quite run out of money where you can't like afford more beers to have energy, but it's just I'm still collecting trash and throwing it at the trash can. Like nothing has changed about that.
Yeah. Sorry, I have been listening to you, but I also have thought, what about TPJ, It's a tiny progressive jobber.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Oh, TPJ. We're going to call these TPJs from now on, because I have a TPJ on my list as well. I think this is a genre I really like, but to your point, it's like incremental games where you have to get that progression. I mean, it's more than just progression, but you really have to get that sense of progression and getting better and able to do more things. That's hard to nail, and a lot of these games are like nailing the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes, but that middle part, like Berry had that problem as well. They just couldn't sustain throughout, you know. It's tough.
So we'll see. I might play more of it. I have so many games to play now. And I have
steak too juicy.
I have way less time. I put a firm hold, other than like less than $5 deals. I put a hold on buying games, just because I don't want to spend money there, and I keep spending money on eBay on shitty stuff like books and things. But again, my eBay policy as well is like, if it's under $10, I'll pull the trigger on something.
Yeah,
like if
but when you buy 100 things, buddy,
I know.
$1,000.
I'm not buying that many things, but it's like, if I look like that Rogue Squadron game guide was like $8. I'm like, okay, like that's I'm gonna use that. That's cool.
Let's remember, we got Subnautica 2 came out today. It's already sold a million copies.
It's on Game Pass, so I just installed it because that Outbound is also on Game Pass, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna tell that RV one.
But that's the one that we didn't demo well.
I was gonna tell Karen about it, because every co-op game on Game Pass we just try to see if we like it. Like we liked that Roadside Research enough to play it for a couple hours, and now it crashes on my computer every time I try to play it. So I was like, okay, Outbound we'll try, but Subnautica, I'm like, okay, let's try Subnautica.
We should
like that.
We should do that for Tuesday.
That's a good Tuesday.
That sucker up.
Is that this Tuesday? We've got a Tuesday. Is there a Tuesday next week?
There is a Tuesday next week.
Oh man, that's tempting. Yeah, we can do that. I could probably get Karen to play. Oh, she's a real.
Well, I was just gonna say, you can stop buying. You can stop buying games, because next week we've got Subnautica 2 and we've got Forza Horizon 6 next Tuesday. And
I thought that was tomorrow.
Monday.
Is it?
I can't remember if it's Monday or Tuesday.
You can play it in New Zealand right now. I'm pretty sure.
Early access. If you paid like the extra $10 or $20 to get early access on top of the Game Pass. What do you think New Zealand is 4 days ahead?
Yeah, May 19th. Yeah, you're right. It's Tuesday. Fuck you. No,
yeah,
I saw a comment today that said you can play midnight. It if you're in New Zealand, and I realized it's the early access. You're correct.
Yeah,
listen.
Access one.
So people at work keep talking about it.
So there's plenty of games to play right now.
Yes, there's plenty of games, and I just bought that Homeworld collection, and I'm looking at. There's just so many games. Who's playing Far Far West right now? Oh, it's someone who changed their name on Steam, so I have no idea who they are. That's great.
Yeah, you gotta like go in and find the alias, whatever it is. Yeah.
Gotta suck them off. Ian Gibson, speaking of sucking them off, what have you been sucking off? I don't know what the heck.
Well, let's lead it off with the game that I teased, which is another TPJ, a tiny progressive jobber, called Librarian: Tidy Up the Arcane Library! While Will takes a little sippy pippy of his Hal Seltzer. Is that tangerine? No, wait, let me guess. That is mango. No, they're not fancy enough for mango. It's tangerine flavor. What's that flavor?
I don't like mango, first of all.
Fuck you.
It makes my semen taste weird.
Okay, so is it tangerine or orange? It looked like more of a tangerine.
It is orange cream.
Oh, okay.
It tastes exactly like an orange creamsicle. It's so
Oh my god. I gotta go and see if I can get Hal's delivered to me. Anyways, so I don't know if have you seen this game? It popped up a little bit on TikTok, but basically the idea is you're in a small 2-story library at like an arcane university or whatever, and a fairy came in and just fucked the library, just threw all the books off the shelf. And I believe there's 3,000 books.
Wait, so a gay guy came in and just fucked up the library?
Yeah, he had We got to get off this before the jokes become even more offensive. So yeah, so you have to go around and each shelf or section of shelves has a like healing magic, like holy magic, and then there's like psychology, philosophy. There's a section called the other world or like something like that, and it's books about humans, but like the titles are very funny. Like one of the titles is like they call mana dark energy volume 1 and it's like, and then there's something like why they worship Wi-Fi volume 2 why they worship a thing called Wi-Fi. And it's yeah, so the whole premise is that most of these books are volumes. Most of them are 10 volumes, but some of them are like 3 volumes or 5 volumes. And so the idea is you have to find a book, figure out which section of shelves it goes on, and then put it on the shelf. And when you put them on the shelf, they end up having to be all 10 in order. So the game starts out a little slow, but it's kind of an okay slow where basically like, again, all 3,000 books are on the ground and you're just like, you pick up a book and it's like, you know, intro to healing magic. And then you go look at the map and you're like, okay, section 1J is healing books. And then you go put it on the shelf in like, it's volume 2. So you put it on the second slot on one of the shelves and it goes like, it like highlights it and it's like, you did it right. And you're like, cool. And then you go look around and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta find I gotta find the 9 other books in here. And you don't have to do it in order.
Yeah.
But it definitely has a slow start, but it's a slow start that makes sense, right? Because it's a daunting fucking task. And so, and they do a decent job of like all the healing books are like white or beige in color. And then all the same books of a volume typically look exactly the same, right? Except for the title on them. So like, it'll be like a white book with like a red diamond on the front. And so you'll run around trying to find those books. And then the way you progress is that every time you complete a shelf, so a shelf is like, hey, all 10 volumes of this book or whatever, or 3 volumes or 5 volumes. Every time you complete a shelf, you get an upgrade point. And you go to your upgrade point, and then you start to unlock some of the skills. And the skills are things like, hey, press this button, and for the next 10 seconds, we're going to highlight what shelf that book belongs on. Or, you know, like, and it starts out really, I don't want to say punishing, but it's a little difficult where it's like, we're going to highlight it for 10 seconds. And then there's a 60-second cooldown before you can fire that ability again. And then there's ones where it's like, whatever book you're holding, we're going to show you the location of other books in that series. So the other volumes, but again, it starts out being like, we'll show you one other book and it's got a 60-second cooldown or whatever. And the other thing is you start out by holding 10 books in your hand. So you can run around and like pick up 10 books. And so it's almost like this unpacking vibe at the start because you're like, how am I going to tackle this? But then speaking of progression, where it kind of starts to fall apart is that as you start unlocking these skills, there's not a whole lot of skills. There's only like 5 skills. So you pretty quickly hit this point where like there is a very specific way to do this properly. And even though it's still enjoyable, it becomes a chore. And what I mean by a chore is that you're like, you've upgraded the upgrades enough that you're able to pick up one book, press a button, all the other books in that volume go into your hand. So now you have all of them in a stack. And then you press another button to see what shelf it needs to go on. You walk up to it, you press another button for a skill that automatically places them on the shelf in the correct order. And you're like, great. And then you just do that over and over again. So the only problem I have with the game, it's still fun. If you're into these TPJs, you should definitely check it out. It took like 4 hours to do it and it was enjoyable. But I want to say about 2 hours and 30 minutes in, you hit a point where your skills are upgraded enough that it literally just becomes a loop. Like there's no reason to do it any differently than pick up a book, you know, press the button to gather all the books, press the button to tell you the shelf, and then go to the shelf and press the button to automatically put it on the shelf. So yeah, it definitely fails a little bit on the progression, but not in a way where I stopped playing the game. And I beat it in 2 days. It was about 4 hours. And it's a very tiny progressive jobber. Like I just love these little games that are like, we're going to do this. I do wish this isn't an early access. I believe this is the full game, but I do wish they had like gone crazier with the skills, done some crazier stuff, maybe had a couple different libraries, you know, things like that. But it was fun just reading all these like fake titles they had and kind of cozying up to this library and running around and doing it.
This game's only $6 because I'm watching trailer and stuff on stream, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. I feel like if this game was like $30, I'd want a story and like something that's making you go that far to like get through it. I think that's the problem with a lot of these job games is
jobbers,
sorry, tiny little jobbers. But I'm including larger jobbers in there as well, like Power Washing Simulator and stuff like that.
BJs.
Big jobbers. Big jobbers. It's like you need at some point it just becomes work and no longer the escape, because you're escaping your job by doing a more menial job in a sense. And that's fun for a while until it becomes a job, and then it's not as fun. And then those little things that's
the point at which it needs to.
Yes, that's where it needs to switch. And that's the thing I don't think the trading card game did. I think that's a thing your game did do, but then it needs to be able to continue that switch. And I think
it needs to do
the
it again.
$6 thing and the 4-hour thing is the right amount to not do that again for you. But if this genre wants to go somewhere, and it wants that to be the main thing, I think it needs something more. It's like I keep wanting to get that home video rental one, because I know you can swap real tapes into it and all that sort of stuff, the video store stuff. But I'm like, I just don't. A, it's single player, and I really like to play those games with other people. And B, it's like I don't think I'm gonna last. I think it's gonna wear off pretty quickly.
And but
we'll
to be clear, I hate to put my foot down here, but that is not a TPJ. That's like a retail sim.
Yeah, I know.
I think to be a TPJ,
they're close.
And this it's close, but I think to be a TPJ, it literally needs to be like one task that the game is focused around and iterating on.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm just extrapolating that out to the bigger ones, but I get that. I agree. It seems like fun. I put it on my wish list because you saying it's 4 hours, it being $6. I would play this.
The next time you got an itch for a TPJ, just this one's great. It will scratch that itch. Do it. I've also played a game that I have had an itch for more than 10 years, folks. That's right. I finally played the Xbox One launch title, Rise, Son of Rome. Have you played this game, Will?
I'm pretty sure I am. I gotta
this is from Crytek. I'm pretty sure it was an Xbox One launch title. And if it wasn't, it was part of like the launch promotion and stuff. Yeah. And the basic premise is that this is Crytek coming off of Far Cry 2 and I believe off of Crysis as well. And they're like, hey, we're going to do a Roman story. And they're really leaning into it. Like they're trying to tell a story. It's very cinematic. It does look good. It still looks good. Like it looks but it looks fantastic for an Xbox One launch title. And like a lot of people, I remember this game getting like 4 out of 10s or like 6 out of 10s when it came out. And people being like, oh, this is trash. And it's not trash. And I played like 3 or 4 missions out of it. And I think it's like 12 missions total or something. The problem with this game, though, is that the combat is shallow, unfortunately. It's weird. It's trying to do like the Arkham type of combat where you're surrounded by guys and they'll flash a color and you need to like block that way or hit this guy with that color. Mm-hmm. But it pretty much is just like, I think if I'm remembering correctly, there's like 1 or 2 attack buttons. There's like a block button and an attack button. And I'm not going to say you can button mash, but it's pretty much just like face that guy, attack, attack, attack. Oh, block this guy. Okay, attack, attack, attack. Like it's building combos, but it's not showing combo meters on the screen. It doesn't really. I think if you dig through the menus, it does give you some different combos. It has a weird system where you can decide what defeating an enemy gives you. So, for example, you can be like, "Oh, I need health back." So it's actually kind of cool. It's just I don't know if it's poorly implemented in this or if it's just the combat's not that good. But anyways, like. You have, I forget what they call it, but you can literally, like on the D-pad, I think it is, you select like health. And that means the next guy you attack and defeat him when he dies, or no, when you stun him enough to do an execution on him, the execution gives you health back, right? But then you can also be like, you can switch it from health to like damage, which means that you do an execution and now you get more damage on your next series of attacks. And I think there's another one for like whatever their stamina power or whatever it is. So you can actually on the fly select like when I do an execution, what's the reward for it? And you kind of have to juggle it, right? Because that's the only way to get health. So when your health starts going low, you're like, oh, fuck, let me switch to the health execution, then execute a guy and then get health back. So it's not a terrible game. It's just that the combat after 3 or 4 missions in, I was like, I'm just pressing the attack button a lot. Like that's all I
Yeah.
really need to do here. And the story is interesting. It basically takes place during the barbarian sack of Rome when Nero is the emperor. And so there's like around that time frame, which is like, what is that, like 180, somewhere around there.
180,
Or no, I think it's like 50 AD, 50 or 60 AD. But anyways, yeah, so if you've ever been interested in Rise Son of Rome, or you just want to play like a Roman game, give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it more than I did. It's definitely not a terrible game, and it's on Game Pass. Oh, I will say there is a big problem with it though, which is that they're like, at some point pretty quickly, they're like, hey, you got a skill point or whatever, go upgrade. And I go in the upgrade menu and the upgrade menu is just like, they have like 4 different currencies and there's like 5 different things. And I was like, where am I supposed to go? And they all have like Roman, like Latin names.
Yeah.
And then there's a page that is just like all the cosmetic DLC that you could buy, but I think you have it all unlocked because you're playing the Game Pass edition. So it's just like the menu and the upgrade system. I don't think I upgraded anything in 4 missions, because every time I would try and go in the menu and do it, I would be like, what the fuck is this shit? Like I don't understand any of it. But again, hey, it's on Game Pass. It's free. If you ever been interested in that game, like I always was interested in it, give it a shot. You may like it. It's not amazing, but it's not a 4 out of 10 like people were saying. It's probably I said 6 out of 10 earlier. It probably is a 6 out of 10 because it's got just enough detriments not to be a solid 7. But yeah, that's Rise Son of Rome.
Rise Son of Rome.
Right. Oh, for those of you at home, that is RYSE, and I don't know why.
Because it's
don't
cool.
know why. Will, is it time to talk about? I made it easy for us this year. Game of the year is over. There's a game that came out, and it's Game of the Year. Everybody decided. All the outlets decided. I believe for a brief period, it was the #1 rated game on Metacritic for the year so far. I'm, of course, talking about 2026 Game of the Year, undisputed, MixTape. Will, it's my understanding that you have played MixTape as well. Is that correct? Before we
It's
get
true.
into this,
I think we're probably at the same place because you have an hour and 9 minutes and I have an hour and 7 minutes. So,
yeah, I got to the pink bedroom, which I believe is like 8 out of 24 tracks, and then I
think that is also
and that
what
was
I
over
got to.
3 sittings. Because
I
folks,
played once.
This game is. Oh, I could not. I had to keep getting up, folks. This game's not good. But before we talk about it, it's a very controversial game. Very controversial. If you will allow me, Will, I think we need to talk about the discourse around this game before we actually talk about the game itself.
Sure. That works for me.
And I'm not kidding. I wrote 500 words worth of notes today.
Wow.
And so I'm going to talk for a bit, but don't let me turn this into a spiel. Feel free to interrupt me and I'll try and throw it to you where you can. But in my head, the discourse around this game is toxic. And in the words of Mr. 45, Donald J. Trump, it's both sides. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And I think there is a worse side, right? Which is all the haters, right? There's like this ridiculous alt-right backlash against this game. And that shit is just like sexist. And I don't know if you've seen the anti-Semitic arguments against this game. It's bullshit.
The only
zero. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only discourse I know about this game is that people are mad because this wasn't their experience in the 90s. That's the only discourse I've heard about this game.
Really, you lucky bastard. I'm not gonna repeat arguments, but there's sexist arguments. There's people looking at Annapurna is run by the daughter of Larry Ellison, who is a Jew billionaire, and that's why you shouldn't play this game. Yeah. There's so many shit ass arguments against this game that are just saying don't belong.
It might just be one person who's saying that, but my going into the game, I had heard that so much. I was told the game says this is what every 90s kid was like implies that heavily. And I didn't get that vibe at all. I felt like I just put on a movie that was made in the 90s or liked the 90s.
Yeah. And we will have valid criticisms, but just staying on the discourse for a bit, because I think we need to set the stage just to say that, like, hey, neither of us like this game, but there are plenty of people who don't like this game for shit arguments, right? And those arguments, they don't belong in gaming culture, whether it's like sexism or anti-Semitism, etc. There's also like elitist arguments against us where they're like, of course, indie games suck, short games suck, games that are just about telling a story suck. And
Mhm.
those are very like trite and shallow arguments. So that's one side of people who don't like this game that have very shitty arguments and they're being very vocal about it. But then there's the other side of people who absolutely love this game and give it a 10 out of 10. Those are the Glazers. I've decided to call them the Glazers after Nikki Glazer, of course. No, it's after cum, clearly. And I think the problem with those people and their shit ass argument is like a lot of it is subjective, right? It feels like their argument basically boils down to like, this game is good because it's about my childhood, or it reminds me of my childhood. It captures my childhood, therefore it's a 10 out of 10 game. And it's like, that's part of criticism, but that shouldn't be the whole fucking thing. It's just like, how much do you relate to the game, or how accurate you think the game is a very small portion of whether the game is good or not. And I think we've talked about this a little bit before with Stray. I think there's a little bit of a small country syndrome with video games media. And what I mean by that is people from small countries feel the need to brag about any way possible they can about how good their country is. So I'll just give you a quick example. I came across this a lot when I was in Lebanon. The thing I kept hearing from people all the time was they were like, oh, well, did you know the second richest man in the world is Lebanese? And it's like, yeah, because he moved to Mexico and bought all the Telnet networks over there. Like so what? Like they feel the need to, they feel like they are lesser than, and therefore they have to overbrag.
Mhm.
And it's something that happened with Stray. Do you remember the game Stray and how that game was good? It was like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, but people were saying it's the greatest game ever made. It got like Washington Post and New York Times articles about it. And a lot of it was people being like, oh, games can be more than just shooters, sports, and platformers. They can be art. And here's proof of that. And because of that, we have to elevate this game and pretend like it's more important and better than it actually is. And I feel like that is happening a lot with the positive reaction to MixTape. Do you feel that's fair?
I agree with Stray, and I don't think that's Stray's fault. I think that's the game that broke containment, and then people are like,
yes,
oh, games can be like, that's what happened. I guess, again, I haven't been following the discourse, so like, I guess if that counts for MixTape as well, like that happens with artsy fartsy games, that they break containment, and then the people who are not usually into them, and I like. It's hard. If I were reviewing a game for an outlet, I probably wouldn't weigh my attachment to a game as heavily, but as not a games media person, I do that a lot. Like there's a lot of games that, and movies fair. Especially, because movies are shorter. There's a lot of movies I know aren't that great, but I think they are 5 out of 5s just because they mean a lot to me, and they
and your enjoyment of them
nail all the notes. It's like MacGruber's a 5 out of 5 to Dan Reichert. It's more of a 3 out of 5 to me, although I enjoy that film. It's just that sort of situation. So I do agree in that point. But yeah,
so let me just close out the discourse conversation, which is what I'm really trying to get to, which is that this discourse is very, very toxic on both sides, people that love the game and people that hate the game. And before we talk about the games that itself, I just wanted to kind of set that stage to say like, hey, we're not agreeing with either side, really.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to try and come at this in a very unique way and try and talk about the game itself. But I do think there is a problem in games criticism that this game is highlighting more and more. And it feels like, to me, a lot of games criticism, especially a lot of people in games media, when there is a game that they like or that is well liked and they see people not like that game, it feels like there's a concept of you're not allowed to, well, what's the phrase? Yucca yum. You know, reviews are subjective, which means you're not allowed to disagree with them because they are feelings, and you're not allowed to disagree with somebody's feelings. And it feels like a lot of games media, and I've seen people like literally say this in a way, is that if you dislike a game, you're not allowed to say that game is bad. The most you're allowed to say is, quote, this game is not for me. You know, you're not allowed to say this game sucks, this game is bad. You're only allowed to say, here's what I didn't like about the game. Anyways, this game is not for me. And that feels like bullshit That feels like childish fucking discourse, right? That feels like everybody has to get along. We don't have to all agree, but you can't be negative. And if there is a game like MixTape that comes along and everybody agrees it's the greatest thing ever, then that becomes a zeitgeist opinion and you're not allowed to disagree with it. Again, the most you're allowed to say is, I agree it's a great game, but it's just not for me. And if you don't like it, if you really don't like it, then don't talk about it. Like I saw multiple people say this about Marathon, where people would come out with I posted one on the Discord of people coming out with well-written essays about like, hey, here's why I don't like Marathon. Here's why it's not working for me as a game. And people would be like, why would you write an essay about that? Like, if you don't like the game, then just don't talk about it. Just ignore it. And it's like, that's not like, if we are going to treat, if we're going to treat games as art, then part of art is discussion. Like art is at its most basic form, it's an iterative process between the people that feel free to create whatever they want to create, and then the people that ingest and consume and respond and criticize to that art to say, hey, it works for me. It doesn't work for me. What does it mean? What is it doing interesting? What, does it have worth? What is worthwhile in this piece of art? And then other artists or the same artist look at that response and the critical reception to it and how people feel about it and go, oh, that's interesting. Let me do my twist on this. You need to have that open fucking discourse. And if the discourse is locked down in such a way that you're only allowed to say positive things about games, and if you don't like a game, you're not allowed to say it's bad. You're only allowed to say it's not for me. That's fucking childish, and we need to stop doing that.
You can like something that is objectively bad as the same coin that you can not like something that is objectively good. And there's subjective things in there, but there's like probably there's amazing movies that I've seen that I don't like, and that's and part of that is it's not for me. But at the end of the day, I can't sit there and go, this was terribly shot and this was terribly acted, like when it's not,
Yeah. But even if you wanted to, as long as you gave it a fair shot and you were trying to like engage with the discourse intellectually and come up with some interesting reasons to be like, no, I disagree. I don't think this is a good game or a good movie because XYZ and it's doing this thing and it's failing at it. Like that's a given. And going back to the negative discourse, there's a lot of shitty discourse around this where people are not engaging with it as a piece of art. They're looking at it as propaganda or political. But yeah, I hate that trend that I'm seeing, which is basically like it's pretty much, it feels like every single game, unless a game is absolute trash and everybody agrees on it, then you're allowed to trash it. But if it's above that minimum threshold, then it either becomes you love the game, you like the game, or it's not for you. And it's like, fuck that. Like, there's so much more we could be talking about these games rather than just, not for me, And discourse has to be positive and negative. It has to be, and hopefully in equal measure.
Yeah, I think the big issue, which again isn't it's not where you're coming from, but it's people associating negative things about a game with like people presenting those things negatively. And I think that is also an issue. It is bad because it's woke, because it's made by this person. Yes. And it's like, no, there can be bad things about a game that are just bad, and it has nothing to do with anything about anyone in it or whatever, Yeah. I think it's
possible. And there is no perfect piece of art. So there is always smart intellectual ways to criticize a piece of art and to create interesting discourse around it. Because again, no piece of art is perfect. Yeah. That being said, let's talk about the most perfect video game I've ever played. 10 out of 10, game of the year, MixTape. I've been talking long enough. Will, do you actually like this game?
Yeah, I'm really into it. It's fun. It's not much of a game in my humble opinion. It's more like watching a movie, but I put it on and it just like sucked me in, and I played like an hour of it just watching it. I see all the edges of what people are annoyed by. I don't think they're bad things, but I see where people are like, this is cringy, or this is bad, or this wasn't me in the 90s. But I think I loved the whole opening with the skateboarding section was super fun. The like jumping over things and skating and stuff. I like when you hit like a car or something, it just like rewinds it. The floating around thing was fun. Skipping rocks was super fun. Walking around the house looking at the different things is okay. But it just felt like a I don't know, it feels like a 90s, almost like Ferris Bueller, where the character's talking to the viewer, they're hanging out with their friends, you can kind of see where the story's going. You like go over to VCR, it rewinds, and you're back in time playing an event that they talked about. I think there's a bit of a better way for them to convey those past events, because I found myself getting a little lost in them.
Yeah,
but,
and I think part of it as well is that like they like to portray those past events in like a magical realism type of way, but they don't fully commit to that for all of the past events. And some of the current events, like skateboarding down a hill, don't feel entirely realistic. So it's like they don't do a good job of setting a boundary between flashbacks and the fallibility of memory, and things are exaggerated versus like, here is the actual present day.
Yeah.
Not to mention there is a present day of us as the player as well, playing this nostalgia game based in the past, you know?
Yeah. And there was like one whole section that ends, and the guy's like, well, at least that's how I remember it. And I'm like, okay, that's funny, because it was like a funny bit with all of that. And yeah, like with the floating and all that sort of stuff. And it's been fun. I thought the writing's okay. The music's been good. I hate to admit, I haven't known any of the songs really. Maybe one.
Hey, buddy. I don't think anybody knows any of those songs. For a game called MixTape, I think the music is... It's not that the music is bad. It's that they didn't pick... I know there's licensing issues, etc., but they did not pick... They didn't pick a good mixtape here. Like, they're going for nostalgia, but then they're not playing any songs that are actually like nostalgia wise, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't have nostalgia for any of the songs. I mean, maybe some if there were more popular ones, but I've liked every song that's played. Like I haven't thought like, oh, I want to get out of here because the song's playing.
It's not bad songs,
and I've recognized a couple names of artists and stuff. But yeah, I finished playing it last night, and I was shocked anyone had a loud opinion about this game. I was like, I feel like
loud opinion
on either side. I didn't over the top enjoy it. Like I'm probably if that was the game I played last night and I had to review it right now, I'd be like 8, soft 7 or soft 8, 7. Like I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Valid, yeah.
It was a fun experience. It's way better than a lot of games I played this year, and it's not as good as some of my favorite games I've ever played. But I felt like, and I didn't think it was like, hey, this is what the 90s was. I felt like I put on Napoleon Dynamite. Like, again, like I just felt like I put on someone's movie being like, this was my experience in the 90s, and I'm going to tell you this is the movie. It's just set in the 90s, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was enjoying it. Also, it's a mixed CD. It's not a tape. That's the only other thing.
Yeah. That just segues into my first point that I wrote down, which is that I really don't like this game. I'm struggling to say it's a bad game because I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10, honestly, probably more of a 6. And like one of the biggest things is that like it is trying to be like this facsimile of the 90s, right? In terms of like, hey, I think it's set in the 90s where it's like, hey, remember the 90s? And we had all this stuff, and it's trying to shove all this stuff in. But then like you're going around the girl's room and she's got like mixtapes next to like burned CDRs. And I'm like, bitch, CDRs were $1 each on sale in like 2002. Like, when the fuck are you having money and a CD burner to just burn your own CD mixtapes in the early 90s when this is supposed to be set? It's just like a very muddy setting. And even like the VCR she touches, it feels like it's a VCR from like 72 or something. Like it's styled in a way like before VCRs were made. So it's this weird thing where it's trying so hard to establish a setting and a point in time, but it's so muddy that it covers like 15 years, you know? And just on the soundtrack, like my point on the soundtrack is like, when I think about early 90s, you know, it's like Nirvana, you know, you've got some of the like tail end of disco, you've got the tail end of hair rock. Like there's all these songs and genres that they could have touched on and hit. And again, only 8 or 9 tracks in, they are just picking weird songs that nobody's heard of, but that all sound basically the same. And it's like, especially for a main character who's supposed to be really into music, they should be sampling different genres. And especially when you're a kid, you care about the hits, right?
Mhm.
And I understand licensing problems may make it hard to get all of the hits, but there should at least be like recognizable music, and there's just not. And it's not that I'm super into music, but I'm also not into music. So it's
Yeah.
like, where's Pearl Jam? You
I think it
know,
helps.
things like that.
I think it
Where's
helps
Sam
that I'm not
Hagar?
that into music. I also like, I don't know. I really just disconnect. Like, I didn't think this was set in the 90s. I didn't even like, if I like a gun to my head, I wouldn't have even
It's
said
hard
it
to
was.
tell.
I wouldn't have even said it was Earth. Other than it being California, like it just feels like someone's vibes of past time. So like
Yeah.
it's, unless a game's like a simulator, I don't look at anything in a Resident Evil game.
Yeah. But I do think the game, I understand that's your reaction to it, but kind of going back to that realism versus magical realism, they do lean into realism. And remember, the game starts with that quote. I can't remember the fucking quote, but it was like, this mixtape is not about, it's going to remind you of like who you were at this point in time. Like they do a very deliberate job of trying to say this is about a very specific point in time and place.
Mhm.
And they just don't do a good job of presenting that. Like, think about like all the great like nostalgia coming of age movies. So you got like American Graffiti, very specific time and place. It's like 50s Main Street dragsters, right? Dazed and Confused, 70s rock and roll Texas. City of God, 70s slums of Brazil, right? Like very clear time frame and setting. And sure, you could probably go back and find anachronisms within them, but as soon as you think of those things, you have a very clear thing of where it was, what the time was, who the people were. This game is just like 80s, 90s, early 2000s white people, white suburb. And that's too bland, too generic, too boring as fuck. Like, it's just not worth making a game about that. And it just makes it a very muddy nostalgia time and place game. Whereas all those other great examples I said are very like concrete. That's what it's about. It really dives into the details of it and shows it to you and immerses you in it. And this is it's just a muddy game, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure I might see more of that the more I play of it, but yeah, it's unfortunately working for me. So like, I don't know what else to say, because I understand what you're saying, but I don't see any of that, because it like, I don't know, I don't think it's trying to be that, in my opinion. But if I thought it was, I think I might be more.
But I think to your point, it's also there's I don't think there's any parts of it that are like incredibly off-putting. Maybe some of the written dialogue is I'm not cringy to the extent where you're like, I want to put this down. But there's none of it that made me want to be like, this game fucking sucks. But it's not grabbing me either. You know, it's not working for me.
I'm not, to some extent you can do this, but I'm not going to fully criticize the game for not doing something I think it should, because that's just a rabbit outside of specific things.
Yeah.
Like if a story moment happens and you're like, you should have killed that character, why didn't you kill that? Like that sort of stuff. But I'm not going to be like, oh, why isn't it this specific thing in this movie or this game about this? Like,
yeah.
It's a slippery slope with that stuff. But yeah, I'll probably finish it, or at least I'll give it another session. I wasn't super turned off about it. I've liked the soundtrack so far. But yeah, the big thing is like, if you're gonna go for that and you can't go 100%, why? I hate to say why do it, but if you're getting the money to make a game and this is your game, like, why not? That's the other side of the coin. Like, you're getting paid.
But I think part of it is, I think my big problem with this is that this is. I'm not going to say it's not a game, because it is a game, but it is a game that doesn't want to be a game. It really wants to be a movie. And every time it lets you take control of things, it feels like tossing a dog to a starving, a bone to a starving dog. You know, like, well, let me just real quick, that skateboarding segment you mentioned at the beginning, that was, you know, I sat down, I'm like, I know this game is controversial. It may not be for me, whatever. I'm going to try playing this game. And that segment starts and it looks gorgeous. You're going down with the skateboard, and I'm still kind of half and half on the stutter, the stop motion animation. You can kind of get used to it. But then they're like, hey, you can do tricks and you can lean forward and back on your skateboard. And I had this very weird moment. I've never had this play in any other video game, where I was pressing the buttons to do like an ollie and jump and go back and lean back and forward. And I was like, this is not actually doing anything. Like, I am pressing a button to have the character do an animation, but it is not doing anything in a gameplay sense. Whether it's like points or like you need to hit a threshold, it's not even doing physics where it's like, oh, you lean forward, you go faster. As far as I could tell, it didn't actually make you go faster or significantly faster. It was literally just, this is a cutscene that is playing out basically. But joke's on you, it's not a cutscene, it's a gameplay element because we let you press buttons to do animations. And there's another scene later where it literally is just a cutscene, but they're like, hey, if you want to like bang your head, you can press a button.
Oh, that scene was awesome. I'm sorry. If you spam the buttons in that scene,
it's not awesome.
It's so good.
It's a terrible fucking game. It feels like they are tossing us a bone where they're like, oh yeah, that's right, this is a game. And so every time they try and inject this gameplay into what is clearly not a game, it's not even good or interesting or unique. It's just like, yeah, here you go. Like even the skipping stones, I got excited. I was like, oh, cool, I can skip stones. Can I like spin it? Can I do weird moves? And it's like, no, not really. I was like, what if I hit Raft? What if I hit this other thing? No, not really. It's just, it wants so bad to be a movie.
You didn't take out all the gnomes?
It has all its inspiration from movies. All the critics who love it keep talking about, this is just like a movie. This is just like a John Hughes movie. This is just like High Fidelity. And it's just the wrong fucking format for this story. And every time they make it a game, it doesn't feel good.
But this movie would never get made. It would be so expensive.
Yeah, to your point, they have to make what they want to make, given the money and the permission and the format.
I would and I would rather be doing those things than watching a cutscene. And I think I don't disagree with you. This game is very movie, but I would rather be doing things in the cutscenes than not doing things in the cutscenes.
I will disagree, and I think you're going to agree with me in this. It depends on what the cutscene is and how good the cutscene is. Because I will sit there for 15 fucking minutes watching a Kojima Death Stranding cutscene because it's so fucking good, and I'm like, I put the controller down and I'm happy to do that and live in that moment. So I see what you're saying, but I'm also like, nah, if the cutscene's strong enough on its own, then you really don't need to be touching the controller.
Yeah, but I think the little especially with the car on the rear screen projectors and all that sort of stuff, and doing all the different movements and hitting the buttons with that, I thought it was a really fun addition to a like montage thing we're driving.
Yeah.
So
it's just that whole game is saturated in movie, and it just happens to be a video game. They didn't justify it well enough to be a game.
Well, that's like your opinion, man. No, but I that's the other side of things. I love these types of games, like The Quarry and Until Dawn and stuff like that, which arguably I think do have a little bit more gameplay than this.
They have a lot more, yeah, because they got the choice and they got more walking and checking, yeah.
But I like an interactive thing, yeah. But no, this is a good conversation. I think I'm gonna keep playing it.
Can I just say one last thing?
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to talk about this game so much and why I wanted to dedicate so much time to it and Will graciously allowed that. I've played indie games before, and I've played big budget games that I played them and I was like, this is not good. I'm not going to talk about it on local chat. There's no reason for me to bring up this game and why I don't like this game. I do think this is a perfect example, at least for me, about why you should be encouraged to talk negatively about games that you don't like. Because this game is getting so much positive praise that, like we talked about with the discourse, there is a concept of the only people who don't like this game are alt-writers and they don't have valid opinions. And also, there are plenty of up-and-coming studios and publishers and developers that are looking at this game and going, wow, MixTape did something right. We should copy MixTape, which is okay. That's why we have a bunch of Balatro clones and Vampire Survivors clones. But let me tell you something. I need to scream from the rooftops about why I think this is a bad game, because it's a bad game. It's got major fucking flaws, and we don't need more games like this that are copying the same flaws over and over again. And that's part of criticism, is you praise and shout about the things you love because you want more stuff like that. But the other coin is also true. I want to shout and point at and blame things I don't like because I don't want more games to make this mistake. And that's why I feel obligated to talk so much about this. There's so much publicity for it that I feel obligated to talk about why I think it's a failed game.
Yeah. And not to disagree with you, But I don't think this game has done anything in either direction to deserve negative or positive praise. I think.
Oh yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree to that. Yes.
I don't think this game is bad enough to be like, this is a terrible game. I don't think it's good enough to be like, this is the best game ever. So far, it could change. But I personally, if someone played this and was like, I want to make a better version of this, I'd be okay with that. I don't think anyone's going to play it and be like, I'm going to make a worse version of this, but there probably will be worse versions of it.
Yeah.
But I'm a sucker for like this type of game because I empathize so quickly with people in these types of games that things just hit like Firewatches and Gone Homes and those sort of things. And then sometimes they really don't work for me, but that's the problem is like I like that feeling of playing these games where I'm just it's and again, it's more of an experience rather than the experience was a 10 out of 10. I don't think the game is a 10 out of 10. If that makes sense. And if I were to review it, I would definitely be like, make that clear. But that's the other thing we always talk about is I rate games on enjoyment, not how good the game is.
And just to say
that, but
I have no problem with this being like an experience or narrative heavy game with minimal gameplay. One of my favorite games of all time, 1,000 Times Resist, has very minimal gameplay.
Totally.
But it tells a fantastic story. It builds a fantastic world. And I've got no problem with those types of games either. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's just, yeah, it's every year there's a game that something like this happens to. And I feel like we're always mystified that it has happened.
Yes. But I am happy that we've talked about this for about 20 minutes, and I feel like we have had the most elevated, no joke, the most elevated conversation about this game.
Oh yeah.
Compared to everything else I've seen, right? It's either the haters who have bullshit arguments or the glazers who are just like, you're not allowed to not like this game because you're racist or sexist or whatever. And it's like, no, there is valid discourse we can have on this game, and we just had it.
It's the double down. It's like, well, I have to like this game twice as hard now. It's tough. And people can take criticism personally. Where like just because you don't like a game doesn't mean you don't like me. Even though people can talk that way, at the end of the day, we're talking about the game, not the people.
Not you.
But you're a fucking loser if you like this game.
Nailed it. Guilty as charged.
I've got to get going. I've got to eat dinner, and then I have have some improv, and we have our class show tonight, which hopefully goes well. I think it'll all be a blur.
What time am I supposed to be there?
Yeah. Get on your flight. I'm gonna hit this button, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, Halucha. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to support us, patreon.com/subpixel will get you to our Patreon. You can sign up for free and get everything that we offer, or you can give us money and you get your name in the credits of things and other things like that, and you get to vote on the streams or stream, monthly stream. So go check that out. Subpixelfilms.com will bring you to our link tree, which you can go buy merch. You can go check out the stream archive channel. You can go check out our main channel and all that sort of good stuff. What do we got? Tomorrow there's a Pixel 8 video coming out at noon Eastern. That's all the leftovers from Pixel 8, which is going to be really good. I'm excited to watch that. And I think that's it. Next week we've got some fun stuff. Probably going to hit Forza and Subnautica 2 and some other cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll see y'all then. Bye.